Hi, I'm Zachary Farnell. Thank you for joining me for another edition of your Timberlane Weather Update. It's very busy around this time of the year. We're getting into spring. Things are finally happening once again, and your schedules may be full. Most importantly for some people, it's March Madness season, and tonight and tomorrow will be days that you're going to want to stay inside watching the games as the rain and cooler temperatures prevail over the next 24 to 48 hours. After that, we might see some warmth kick in, but in the meantime, we are seeing a pretty dynamic pattern setting up across much of the U.S. This is yesterday in its temperatures. You're seeing much of the U.S. in those 70s. Pretty warm temperatures, especially considering that it's only March. But you can see right in through here, we have a nice cold front. Right back here, a big time well of not significantly cold, but definitely chilly air for the daytime highs dipped into this area, where you were seeing the temperatures maybe getting towards freezing for the daytime highs across some of the Great Lakes and Northern Plains areas. Up to 8 inches of snow fell in this area, as just over here in Illinois, we saw tornadoes touch down just 200 miles apart from each other. That system will move across the U.S. towards us today, driving a rain threat overnight. And again, I mentioned that very big cold front that you can see moving across the U.S. slides further east. You can see just out in front of it some of that warmth trying to stay in even overnight last night in towards parts of Pennsylvania. We got only down into the 30s, upper 30s, maybe the 40s in towards some of those more inland areas. But look at much of the rest of the U.S. getting pretty cold for this time of the year. Again, today you see the heat surging up. We've got some clouds and generally a little bit of a blocking pattern keeping some of that warmth away from us, but in general, the east coast of the United States stays pretty warm as the west coast, and mid part of the country cools off a lot in the wake of that system. You can see it here on the satellite imagery. This one is what's going to be driving our weather for the next day or two. You're going to see it generally pushing towards our area. Whole lot of rain that's going to begin tonight, and again you're looking up towards our area. Again, pretty cloudy. That's why we're not seeing those incredibly warm temperatures. Let's take a look at what that looks like exactly on the the fronts map. Again, here's your system setting up across parts of the East Coast. It's going to push towards us, and it's going to begin to rain overnight tonight. Much of the area in New England will be dealing with some of those rainy temperatures, well above freezing throughout much of the time that the storms are moving through. So again, all rain, but up north, those temperatures may be sliding more towards freezing, and a mix of rain and snow for upstate New York and towards ski country. If anything's still running, they might get a little bit of snow from this one overall. Behind it, it's a pretty calm pattern. You're looking across much of the western and central part of the U.S. as we get from Friday towards Saturday. A little bit of a storm out west, but nothing we need to be concerned about except for a couple cold fronts that continue to move their way over. Now, once this storm moves out, we're looking at a pretty nice day Saturday and a pretty warm day as well. That cold front moves through and it cools down the temperatures, but then right behind it, this high pressure system builds in, and this cold front is going to actually cause some warm air to surge out in front of it before it cools down behind. So Saturday, pretty sunny, pretty nice, should be relatively warm. As we get towards Sunday though, you're going to see another pretty significant severe threat across much of the central U.S. That severe threat across the central to southern, southeastern U.S. Just last week caused over 40 related deaths. So we need to keep our eye on the severe weather season this year. This could be a very active year, especially for tornadoes and severe thunderstorms. But this one, not expected to be as bad, thankfully. That system will begin to push towards our direction Monday and Tuesday, and you'll see some rain associated with that as well as we get towards the 5-day forecast. As promised, tomorrow it's going to be rainy and pretty chilly, down towards freezing overnight. Then on Saturday, it's going to get even colder. Saturday morning will likely be below freezing, almost certainly below freezing, but you see those temperatures really rising. Mostly cloudy throughout the day, but it will begin to clear as we get later on, and by Saturday night into Sunday, should be pretty clear, pretty sunny, and generally few clouds in the area. However, that does come with that cold front that I mentioned right behind our system that's moving through Friday. So the warmth on Saturday, short-lived, as Sunday we get down into the mid to low 40s. Same thing with Monday, except this time we're looking towards another rain threat. Monday morning, again, you're seeing those temperatures hovering around freezing. Do not be surprised if we get a little bit of a mix of rain, snow, sleet in towards Monday morning. It will not be able to accumulate. It's going to be too warm for it to really stick around in the area for any significant amount of time. But Monday morning again got us on alert for some potential slick roads as we drive into school and work. Monday, the storm moves through. We warm up a little bit into the 50s, and as we get towards Wednesday, it's another day of showers. We're into spring, it's an active season, and although the rest of the week for next week looks pretty clear, I wouldn't be surprised if another system or two moves in. Again, after those showers on Wednesday, it is generally clear, but warming through Wednesday, Thursday into Friday, we're finally seeing temperatures returning into those upper 50s potentially by the end of next week. Before Saturday and Sunday, we see them dump off once again, especially on Saturday where we could see temperatures only reaching 38 for their high. Well, I'm Zachary Parnell. Thank you for joining me for another edition of your Timberland Weather Update. Springtime weather is so unpredictable for our area and for the rest of the country, so please stay weather alert and weather aware. Severe thunderstorms, even some snow, and continued shifts in temperature and precipitation are expected as we look through the next 2 to 3 weeks especially. So please stay weather alert, weather aware. Tune into your Timberland weather forecast next week as we break down the chance for a couple of rainstorms coming through. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Zachary Parnell, signing off.